about God. Man, don't forget. Someone say, don't forget. This is the series finale. This is the last week. We've been reading from Psalms 103, 1 through 5. And it says this: Praise the Lord, my soul, all my inmost being. Praise his holy name. Praise the Lord, my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who satisfies your desires with good things, so that your mouth is renewed, so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. Someone say satisfies. Who satisfies your desires. Today we are going over the part of this verse that says that God is a God who satisfies our desires. My first point today, if you're writing notes, I encourage you to write notes because it'll help you remember what God's speaking to you, is that God satisfies our desires. Someone say desires. Desires. All right. I'm going to ask you a question. I'd like a response. Are you guys ready? All right. What does the word desire mean? It's a hard word to define. All right. I'm going to... Yes.
Something that you want or crave, or just like need.
Love it. Want, crave, or need. I wrote this down, but I like your definition just as much. A strong, repeated want. What are some desires that humans have, that people have? High schoolers. I want a high schooler to answer this question. Middle schoolers, listen to your high schoolers. They're older than you. Yes, Ocean.
Money.
He said money.
Oh, money. Okay. I thought he said me. I was like, is that Ocean? The lights were tripping. Another high schooler. What's another desire people have? Money's a great answer. No wrong answers. Yep.
Love.
Gavin? Candy. Okay. Someone said love. Who said love? Sebastian, is that you? Is that you? Nice. Love that. That's a deep one. Come on. Hey, that's what the Beatles said. They said all you need is love. But there's some facts in there. Yes. A job. Yep. Love it. Why do we desire those things? Like jobs, money. Let's get a little deep in here tonight. Why do we desire them? Yes.
Because they fill our desires to be happy.
Okay, it is an attempt to be happy. I love that. Any other answers? Because we want to have a good life. Excellent. I love
To
it.
get a head start in our next years.
Yep, love it. So I think all of you answered correctly. I think there's two main desires. So let's say two. There's external and internal desires. The external being, man, I want more things. That sounds worse than it is, but there are some desires that we have. There's some needs that we have. Like we need shelter, we need food, we need water, we need external things to live. Power, I would consider that. Possessions, those are external desires. Those are external needs that we have. Okay? And then other type we have is internal. Someone say internal. The desires inside. To be loved, to be admired, to be praised, to have peace, to be emotionally safe. All these desires are inward. And when you compare the two between external and internal desires, the internal ones are far more valuable. They're far more needed. How do you know, Adam? I appreciate you asking. You can look at celebrities or billionaires or very wealthy people, and you find out, this is just a generalized statement, but I've seen it enough in my 27 years, almost 28 years of life that it's true. Man, this person has millions of dollars and they're strung out on drugs. Right? You're like, bro, in my head, I'm like, bro, if you had millions of dollars, bro, how could you ever be unhappy? But we see all these people. I mean, there's some dark stuff when you've seen some people that you would think is the most successful, but they're only externally successful. They only have money, they have a job, they might have power, but internally they're broken and they have needs and desires that are not met. The true great desires that we have are not external, they are internal desires. Someone say internal. So God satisfies our desires. I'm going to ask you this. This is rhetorical. But is every desire, rhetorical means don't answer. Just think about it. But is every desire we have good? Like if you think about it, is every desire I have good? Okay, so let's do a little deconstruction. Okay, so if God says he's going to meet my desires, he says he's going to satisfy my desires, he's going to give me the desires that I want, he satisfies my desires. Okay, do you think God would satisfy desires that are not good? I wouldn't think so either, right? My second point for today is that God only satisfies the desires that he gives us. Some say God-given. You see, we all have a desire for food and water. And you know what God did? He made a stream and some trees. You see, God gives us desires, and the God-given desires that we have, God satisfies those desires. But like I said before, not all desires are good. So if it's a good desire, I promise I'm going somewhere. Stick with me. Fasten your seatbelts on. We're going somewhere. Some say we're going somewhere. Okay, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to bless your life. Okay. God gives you desires that are good. And those good desires God will satisfy. He wants to satisfy, but not all desires are good. In James 1 it says that we are tempted and we are dragged away and we lead to sin in our life because of our own evil desires. Okay, so where do they lead us? Let's see where that leads us. We talked about it a little bit, evil desires. Desires apart from God last week. The empty way of life we talked about. This life wants newer, better, bigger, nicer, newer, better, bigger, nicer, newer. I need more, I need more, I need more. Man, I was a kid at 14. I had a job, and I liked shoes, man. But one thing about shoes is that I always wanted my next pair, and I got to the point where I was buying dozens of shoes because I wanted more. I was never truly satisfied with the pair of shoes that I had. I always wanted more shoes. I always wanted more shoes. But I thought when I was younger, man, if I just worked up and saved my money and I got this one pair of Jordan 12s, man, I'm going to be stunting. Man, people are going to be like, dude, that dude is fresh. Man, girls will be like, man, that dude is cool. Man, I thought I'd be the man. But once I got those, you know what I wanted next? My next pair of Jordans. And my next pair, my next pair, my next pair. And because that desire in my life was not a good desire. It was just a desire, and it never truly satisfies. An empty way of life that never truly satisfies. There's a man in the Bible named Solomon. Someone say Solomon. He was David's son, and he was the wisest and richest man that ever lived. He spent some years, I believe, not in the will of God. He did pretty much whatever he wanted. He was the wealthiest. He was the wisest. He had all the power. He was of great esteem. That means he's well respected. And he writes this man that had everything. Someone say everything. Trillionaire in today's standards. He writes this in the second chapter of this book. So I became greater than all who had lived in Jerusalem. Someone say flex. I mean, I was greater. Wherever you had before me, it was a little slight twist dad, right? That was before him, right? And my wisdom never failed me. Anything I wanted, I would take. What? I denied myself no pleasure. I found great pleasure in hard work, a reward for all my labors. But as I looked at everything I had worked so hard to accomplish, it was all so meaningless. Someone say meaningless. Like chasing the wind. There was nothing really worthwhile anywhere. Man, he says, I denied myself no pleasure. Another version says, I denied my eyes nothing. And he had everything. He was greater than anyone else. He had all the money, all the relationships he could ever want. Believe me, he had a lot. Man, he had everything he could ever want, and he writes, it's meaningless. Man, that thing that you think will make you happy, it's meaningless. Take it from me. The relationship that you're chasing, if that's all that you want out of life is that one relationship, and you want it more than God, it's meaningless. All that money that you want, all that accomplishment that you want, it's all meaningless. Solomon is saying this, I've been there, I've done that. Let me tell you the truth, it's not going to satisfy. He said, every accomplishment I had, right? He built the temple. He was one of the greatest men to ever live. He said, it's meaningless. It doesn't matter. Man, I remember often thinking, man, if only I could have this. If only I had, some of the shorter guys will relate to this. If only I was a couple inches taller. Anybody ever thought that? Come on. I have it. Man, bro, if I was 6'3", man, that'd be pretty lit. Man, if only I had a nicer car. That might be harder to do. Man, if only I had fresher shoes. Man, if only I had a cooler t-shirt. Man, if only, man, I went to the good thrifts that have the fresh clothes, not the thrifts that people already know. If only. If I just had a little bit more. Man, there's this time where I was 8 years old and my grandmother was watching me. And my grandma always had a ton of sweets in the house. And this was one of the first time, I have younger siblings, it was the first time we all were there, and my grandmother was just like, let's set out some sweets. And she put like Pop-Tarts and candy and gummies and Snickers and Reese's and and Cocoa Puffs. Why? I don't know. Man, she was just like blending it all. Man, she put sodas and Pepsis and all these things, and she puts on a movie. I don't remember the movie. I think it was like Shrek, but I don't remember. Not that that matters, or that I'm enjoying that movie. That wasn't part of my message, but I remember watching that. And I remember eating all this stuff, and I remember being a little kid and sitting at dinner and thinking, man, when I'm older, shoo, oh, there's no more of this broccoli stuff anymore. You know what I'm eating, Gabe? I'm eating gummies. I'm eating chocolate bars. I'm eating Pop-Tarts. And I went to my grandmother's house, and I was like, today's the day. Bro, no dinner. Grandma's chill. She doesn't care. Man, I'm going to eat my full today. 8-year-old self. Man, today's the day. So I started munching now. I started making sandwiches out of Reese's and Kit Kats. And I was like, bro, that's fire. If you ever tried that, it's fire. Man, Hershey bars, chips. I mean, all of it, man. I'm indulging in it, man. And the movie ends, and I'm in a food coma. I walk. My parents are there, and on the way home, I got a little car sick, and I saw everything that I ate. I saw some undigested gummy bears. That was disgusting. What's my point of this story? I thought I knew what I wanted. But what I wanted, and what I ended up getting, did not satisfy me. It only disappointed me. Man, I would hate for you to be in here tonight and think, man, what I need is more stuff. Man, what I need is to be 6 inches taller. Man, what I need is a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Man, what I need is those things, and you miss what life is really about. Look what it says in Proverbs 27:20. Just as death and destruction are never satisfied. Someone say never. Never. So human desires are never satisfied. Never satisfied. Never. My third point for today is nothing in this world will ever satisfy you. Hold on now. Wait a second. Wasn't your first point that God would satisfy us? It seems like you're kind of saying two different things. What do you mean? If God said he'll satisfy us, and God gives us good desires that he says he will satisfy, and you said something about the bad desires, but you said that God will satisfy. What do you mean that nothing in this world will ever satisfy us? It's because we are not meant for this world. I'll prove it to you. Can everybody snap in here? Do I give him a poetry slam? Okay. So whatever you want in life, and I don't want to kill your ambition in here tonight. I don't want you to think that, that you can't desire things or have be motivated in life. But I want to show you that you can fall into the trap that most people fall into, even Christians, and miss what you're actually designed for. Okay, ready? If you could eliminate all hatred in the world, snap. If your neighbor's not snapping, talk to me after.
I'm sorry.
I'm teasing. I know everybody can't snap. Right? If you could remove murder, snap. Fear, world hunger, greed, selfishness, right? Any other bad thing in the world. Nothing of this world will never satisfy us because we're created for more. Someone say more. You see, we're made in the image of God. You need to know that our desire is for perfection. That's my fourth point. We're created for perfection. We're created for peace and love and safety and unity and harmony. And we're never going to fully get that until Jesus comes back. So no matter what you get in this life, if you think that's going to be your salvation, if you think that's going to, I fell into this trap before. Man, if I just made a ton of money, man, all these problems would go away in my life. Let me tell you a secret. It's not going to happen. Man, if I could just get out of my parents' house and get to college, man, then all my problems, man, because all my problems, man, that's just because of the house I'm in. But once I get to college, man, all my problems will go away. I don't think so, right, Gabe? Nope. If only, if only, if only. The devil plays this trap of if only. And he keeps you chasing a carrot that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. No matter what you have in this world, it's not going to truly satisfy you because you're made for perfection. I'll prove it to you. Who here's ever been nice to somebody? Again, if your neighbor's not raising your hand, you listen, I'll be like, Christians are supposed to be nice, right? That's not part of our thing, right? Right? You don't have to raise your hand on this, but just think about it. Who here's ever been generous? Right? Loving. How did those things make you feel? Made you feel good, didn't it? Okay, let's do the opposite. Who has ever been angry? Like really angry? And you held on to it, and you were like angry for like 2 weeks. Anybody ever been like that? Okay. When you first were angry, how did it feel? No, it felt kind of good. It felt strong, probably. But if you ever hold on to anger, it doesn't make you feel good.
It turns to guilt.
It turns to guilt. Jealousy. Anybody ever been jealous? How did it make you feel? Okay. You get what I'm saying? You get where, right? So were we made to be jealous? No. Don't mishear what I'm saying in here tonight, that everything that makes you feel good is from God. No. But there's something different that I experience as an adult on Christmas morning. When I give gifts to my 1-year-old and see him open, man, I don't care. I tell my family members, you can give me stuff, I'll take it, it's fine. But that's not what Christmas is about for me. Man, I want to see my 1-year-old open up a penguin that sings and smile so big, like that was my whole Christmas. I don't remember anything I got. I literally don't remember. Because I wanted him to feel love. I wanted him to be blessed by this gift. And that feeling was better than anything else that I've ever gotten in my life. I'm excited for next year, for when he can talk. Man, like that was the best. And we're made to live like that. We're made for perfection. We're made for a perfect world, and that's never going to happen until Jesus comes back or we go up to heaven. Okay, Adam, this is kind of dark. I mean, this is kind of like a buzzkill. Okay, so we're never going to be satisfied. No, there's hope. Someone say there's hope. There's hope. So what's the solution? Okay, here we go. John 10:10. The thief's purpose is to steal, kill, and destroy. The thief is the devil. He's also known as Satan. When he was an angel, he was called Lucifer. He's our enemy. Okay. But my purpose, this is Jesus talking. If you don't know who Jesus is, he lived 2,000 years ago. He's the God's son. And he atoned for our sins and raised for the third day. And we follow him and trust him fully and freely. Okay. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying. Someone say satisfying. Satisfying. Man, what Jesus did is Jesus perfected. So we have the Old Testament that was the law, and Jesus perfected our understanding about God. He gave us an example. What he did when he was here was he healed the sick and the blind, and he was the kindest, most beautiful, most perfect person that has ever walked this earth. He was perfect. He's actually dying on the cross, and he's asking God to forgive the people killing him. I'm telling you, this is the Jesus that we serve. And when he came down to this earth, he says this statement: my purpose is to give you a rich and a satisfying life. But how? I said it before that God created us in his image. Okay, that doesn't mean we have the same power God has, but that means that we are meant to experience what God experienced. And what Jesus did was he perfected the law that the Old Testament brought, but he showed us his heart. He was loving, and he was gracious, and he was kind, and he was perfect, and that's how we're supposed to live. So you want to know the secret to having a rich and a satisfying life? It's learning to live like Jesus lived and love like Jesus loved. I know for a fact that Jesus had the most satisfying life in the world. I know it. Because he was obedient to God and he did exactly what he was supposed to do. And you in here tonight, that if you think your life is just about getting a fast car and a big house and a beautiful spouse and having a family, Are those things inherently bad? No, but they're hollow and they won't satisfy you alone. But man, when you get this secret sauce to life, we said that people's desires is for people to be happy. That's what people want. They want significance. They want to be satisfied in their life. That's why they desire things. And I'm telling you this because I wanted to solidify in your heart that if you learn to live like Jesus lived and you learn to love like Jesus loved, you will be more satisfied than you will ever been. It's Jesus. Jesus tells us to be kind, gracious, to work hard, to forgive others, to love everyone. I already covered this, but I'm going to say it again because I want you to hear it. If you think about the times you feel good, it's because, like, for doing good. When you feel good for doing good, like the being generous and the kind and the loving, it's because you're experiencing what God experiences. It's because you're you're being congruent to the way that you were made, how you were designed. Okay? You are being obedient when I'm loving, when I'm gracious, when I'm kind. I'm acting like God does. When I'm being generous, all God does is give. That's all He's ever done. He gives. When I give to people, I'm learning to live like Jesus lived and love like Jesus loved. So how do we apply this in our lives? What do we do? Some say, what do we do? Our satisfaction is linked to trust and obedience to Jesus. David wrote this. He says in Psalms 1, 2 through 3. I remember reading this as a young man, like 18, and I didn't get it. It says, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on it, on His law day and night. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. When I think of the law, he writes, I delight in the law. I delight in it. I meditate on it day and night. That's all I can think about. David's writing, all I can think about is God's law. Man, I love the law. When I think about the law, like, that I have to abide by, like, my first thought is, man, I love having to drive 55 on 15. Man, I love that. That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I love paying taxes. Yeah, the law. I love the law, right? When I first read this, I'm like, what is he talking about, the law? Because I don't really like the law that I have to live by. But then I realized something. He said he delights in it because it's free. He meditates on it day and night. It's because it's God's law. When we live by it, we live how we're designed. It's like a train on a track. Anybody ever been on a train before? Trains can go really fast and really far on their track because that's how they were designed. But the moment you place a train outside of its track, it can do nothing. And that's your life absent of Jesus. I guarantee if you could talk to a train, are you satisfied being out on the tracks? They would say no. A boat on land doesn't work. Doesn't work. If this guitar, I don't know who's he smash it. 300 likes on Smash. Okay. Yeah. So this guitar, it's a good visual, right? If I use this guitar to drive a nail, would that work?
Maybe for that person and you know words.
Okay. It might work a little bit. But I'm going to really hurt this guitar. And I'm not going to be very good at driving that nail. And God forbid, if I could drive another nail, it's not going to work. Or if ladies, those of you with long hair here tonight, if I use this as a hairbrush, could you brush your hair? Maybe. Would it be painful? Yes. Would it be the purpose that this guitar was made? No. The purpose that this guitar was made to be played. It wasn't meant to drive a nail. It wasn't meant to brush hair. It was meant to make music. And you were meant to follow God's law. That's what you were meant to do. You're not meant to be off your tracks. I don't know whose guitar this is. I don't know how expensive it is. I'm just going to lay this on the floor here. It's broken. You were designed to live on His law. That's just the way it works. It doesn't work any other way. That's the only way you get satisfaction. But listen to this. Listen to this promise right here. This is Jesus, or this is the Apostle Paul writing, but this is about God. You guys ready? Someone say I'm ready. No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no heart of a man has imagined what God has prepared for those who love him. Man, you love God. You follow God. In Psalms 16:11 it says he has blessings that satisfy us forevermore. Man, you follow God, you get on God, the tracks that you're supposed to be on, you start living how you're designed, man, you will be so satisfied. It might be tough at first, but you will start to understand, man, this is what life's all about. And then if you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, man, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no heart has imagined. You can't even imagine the good that God has for you. Your future is so bright, I can't even understand it. That's what God's saying. Paul's like, I can't even say, like, you've seen like a waterfall, it'll be like, no eye has seen. Have you ever heard a beautiful song? It's going to be like, no, he doesn't say that. He says, it's impossible. No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no one has even imagined the good that God has prepared for you. You get on your train tracks. You start living how you're designed. And you will live a life that satisfies you. The only thing that satisfies is a relationship with Jesus. But what does that mean? A life where you trust and obey Jesus. I don't have this in my notes, but I'm just going to say it right now. Sin, or living opposite to how you're designed, will temporarily feel good, but it will never satisfy you. It will always cost more than you're willing to pay, and you'll be in it longer than you want to be in it. And there's this lie that the enemy will perpetuate that says if you live fast right now, if you just disregard what God says, you just do whatever you want right now, you will truly be satisfied. And I can tell you from experience, I can tell you from what I've seen about God, that your future is the brightest when you obey God today. Man, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no heart has imagined what God has prepared for you. But the moment that you drift, and the moment you fall into the lie that, man, if I just disobey God, if I live apart from God, that's what's going to satisfy you, I just feel like warning you. It's not. You can come back, but you might walk with a limp for a little bit. You might be sick for a little bit. You might have, God forbid, I don't know, you might have missed something that God wanted to do, and God will work all things together for your good, but it's important for you to know that your decisions you make today matters. Man, I wish someone would have told me the decisions you make when you're 16 will affect how satisfied you are at 24. I wish someone would have told me that. Man, if you would know, I wish someone just would have sat next to me and said, if you knew, man, that what you think you want right now will actually be way worse for you in the long run. But what you don't want to do, or the law that you don't like, the same law that didn't like the laws of Maryland, if you live by that right now, you get up on that train track right now. You start playing your guitar and you stop brushing your hair with it right now. Stop drying hairs with it right now. Then you'll be satisfied. And I say this as something for you to do right now, but I hope this message is something that you took away forever. Because the God that satisfies you will not just satisfy you when you're 15. It's forever. And after you die. It's not you get on your train tracks and then you get off and then you turn into a boat. No, it's however you're designed. It's how you're designed. You keep doing that. You keep doing that. And your life will be on a trajectory that will scare the devil and satisfy you, and most importantly, please God. So in conclusion, God's the only one that can satisfy you. Our satisfaction is linked to our obedience and trust to God. And if you find yourself today unsatisfied, that can change you. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day, Jesus. God, we worship you, God. We honor you. We exalt your name in here tonight, God. We thank you that you're the one that can truly satisfy us. God, I pray we would start living more and more how we're designed, God. We would learn to live how you live and to love how you